That's gonna leave a mark,
That's undisputed because I'm undisputed. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Mixed Tag Show with
Jenna and
Blue. Yeah.
Year. Wow, you did a year. I'm shook.
Yo, it's for the culture this time. I gotta join that. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I mean,
Dead ass, son. Dead ass.
dead ass, all that.
Dead ass beat. All that. Well, Jersey's not in the building. It's New York, but I'll let you rap.
I represent Jersey, and so Jersey's in the building every time I step into a building. How about that?
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we're recording pretty early this week, sir.
Yeah, we're doing a couple of bonus episodes for the people. We're not gonna have a regular episode this week, so we decided to give you guys some special content.
Some bonus episode.
Yes.
Because we know you love us so much, and you always ask us, "What, you guys are not recording? What's the deal?" Blah blah blah. And this is true story. I always get this in my DMs. So.
Yeah, I've also gotten some texts like, "Yo, no episode this week." So we're finding different ways to give y'all more content, even when we're not doing a regular episode. So before we get into tonight's topic, what you want to plug in, Jenna?
Speaking of special content, and we're trying to give you more. Don't forget to head on over to patreon.com. Is it /TMTS, yep. Sir? /TMTS. Head on over there, sign up, join whatever dollar raffles we got. We got exclusive content. We actually have something brand new this week coming, since today is actually the anniversary of Evolution.
Right.
The historical pay-per-view last year, and obviously a lot of us would just want another one, so we definitely want to get into that conversation. So again, make sure you sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/CMTS.
I was wrong. The Mixed Tag Show.
/The Mixed Tag Show. Maybe we should shorten it so it's easier to type, but the Mixed Tag Show.
I see what I can do.
Okay, what I can do. All right. /TMTS. And also head on the Mixed Tag Show. Sorry, got to get used to that. And also head over to prowrestlingtees.com / now this is TMTS. Yep. Head on over there. We got our brand new shirts that you guys love. Thank you for everybody that's been purchasing stuff literally already. So that's awesome. We appreciate the support.
Awesome.
We'll definitely post you when you definitely get it or send it to us.
Definitely.
That you bought it.
Also, if you want to purchase some additional merchandise like other hoodies, shirts that we couldn't get approved on the other end, head over to shop.spreadshirt.com /TMTS. You get a cup, get a mug, get a mouse pad. We have everything for most of our brand new logo on there. The concrete logo's up there. Our golden standard logos up there. So head over there and show us some support as well. We appreciate those that have already been purchasing from there. So thank you for showing us some love.
Yeah, so you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So for this past weekend, not even weekend, Sunday, Monday, there's been an issue at hand that's been taking over Twitter in terms of racism in wrestling. And Jenna and I has been basically at it a few times on Twitter, and we've discussed it amongst ourselves as well. It's just one of those conversations that we cannot sit out on. So we decided to have this special bonus episode for you guys where we discuss racism in wrestling.
It was recently Jordan Myles of NXT.
Yeah.
He I guess if you want to use the word rant, had a rant on Twitter or voiced his displeasure in regards to a shirt that was created for him. Essentially the shirt, most of you on Twitter know and on Instagram know, the shirt essentially looked like blackface. Those of you that are not familiar with blackface, it's essentially a derogatory way that white people back in the day used to depict African Americans
in movies and TV shows and so on and so forth,
as opposed to actually hiring black folks. So they use big red lips and pitch black
paint,
paint. And that was their idea of African Americans.
Right. So a lot of times people who are not conscious of this, I don't know if it's hard to pinpoint where's the issue where that's still looked upon. Because for me, when I first saw the shirt, I can speak for myself, is that's the first thing that came to mind. So it's
Correct. I agree with that.
for so some people may not understand it, but for people that's within, I can say our culture, our race, whatever the case may be, people who are conscious of what happened to our ancestors, see that. So for when the shirt came out, it kind of threw everybody off. Is like, how do you approve something like this? And it sparked the outrage. And Myles was the first one well, of course, he's the first one to bring it to attention. And he actually called out Vince and Triple H about it. How do you feel about how he approached it?
Well, originally when and I want to choose my words wisely, I was a little not confused by the outrage, because again, when someone first sent it to me, I immediately thought blackface, right? So I get that. But my thing was that NXT went live on USA last month. These shirts were rolled out then. So I was confused as to why the outrage happened now and not then. But then as we continued to, I guess, see more and read more what Jordan Myles had to say, then it became clear on what the situation was. But how I think he handled it, he had to do what he had to do and bring awareness to a situation that not only occurs in wrestling, even though that's the topic at hand, but in just society. Right. You know, it's time and time again where, and listen, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm not defending, you know, WWE, but it truly is ignorance, because maybe someone didn't realize that there's racial connotations towards it, but you know what I mean? It's still someone in that department had to say, you know what, this is not cool.
And at
one
point, it was actually Jordan Myles who said it, because he even said that, you know, he wasn't too big on the logo. Apparently, it was sent to him on a white shirt first, and he's like, okay, this looks cool. But then when it was sent to him in a black shirt, he was like, okay, this may not be the move. And the person that was in charge of the account said, well, Triple H approved it. This is what he liked. And Road Dogg wanted it on the gray shirt. So I kind of feel like Road Dogg may have had a sense of like, okay, this may not be the way to go. Let's put this on a gray shirt instead if we're going to rock with this. But nobody really spoke out like, okay, it can't touch a black shirt at all because it just looks wrong.
And again, playing devil's advocate in the sense of not even devil's advocate, but, you know, Jordan Myles may not be like, he's like, from a fan's perspective, like when I was talking to someone, like, we're well aware how the WWE shop is, or how, not WWE shop, but just WWE, when they promote their merchandise, typically is on a black shirt, right? So you're going to expect that an image or what have you is going to be on a black shirt. So from that point on, like from that point, someone should have been aware, like, we cannot put this on a black shirt. And again, it just goes back to there's a lack of diversity in I guess upper management, that someone didn't catch that. And it's unfortunate that in 2019 going to 2020, we don't have more representation in these positions, because someone would have, someone aware, socially aware of that would have been like, yo, it. That's not it.
Exactly those words too. This ain't it. So,
yeah. You know, you want to appeal to, I guess, an urban community or just, you know, a younger generation. You have to, especially like that's today's generation, that everything is social media and what have you. You have to have someone like a research team and just seeing what the trends are and know that this isn't right. And you know what, at the end of the day too, you can't even say that it was, no, you didn't know, because literally, was it a few months ago, earlier this year, with the situation with Gucci, when literally the same exact thing happened, and there was outrage in regards to that. So you're aware that this is that's right.
And this is like, and to your point, it's not happening just in wrestling. It's happening across the board, where this is a constant conversation. So at what point is it like, okay, everybody needs to know this. Like, it's no more like, oh, is it ignorance of what's going on? Because, like you said, a couple of months ago, this happened with Gucci. Before Gucci, this happened with H&M, with the young boy that had what was it, the coolest monkey in the jungle shirt, hoodie. Like, after a while, it has to be certain things that's like, all right, this is not it. And like you said, it comes down to not having a proper representation when it's to the upper management. Because now there's a lot of people that's not connecting with the audience that you're trying to reach. So how you connecting with this audience if you're not putting the right people in the right positions to help you guys reach where you're trying to reach?
And another prime example is earlier this year, or even just a few months ago, I don't really remember the timestamp. There was a news anchor woman told her co-host, I don't know, it was like a picture of a gorilla or what have you. And then she said, oh, you look just like him.
Yeah.
And that caused backlash, right? You have, and then she, all of a sudden she was remorseful. Maybe she was, I'm not going to get into all of that, but you have to know as an adult, there's certain things that you cannot say. Even if like there wasn't racial intent, why would you think that's a compliment calling me that I look like a gorilla?
Right.
And if it's the other way around, and if we do it, we're angry, we're aggressive, we're ignorant, we're ratchet, we're uneducated, and you can't continue to have this double standard. And again, going back to what we said, it's not necessarily even an issue in wrestling. It's outside of wrestling too. Back when I was at my previous job, I was a banker, licensed banker, just as qualified as anybody else. I sat down with 2 lawyers and they needed help with a wire. One of the lawyers said to me, as soon as he sat down and didn't say, hi, good morning, how's your day going? Is that your hair? So I looked at him and I said, good morning. How can I help you? Is that something that you ask a woman? Then he immediately said, oh, no, because it's just to clean it up. Well, it just looks good. And just, you see all these movie stars and actors and what, their hair is that's not their hair or what have you. Listen, it's 2019. I don't have to sugarcoat and be like, oh yeah, that's my hair,
right.
Whatever. We're women of color, white women, all types of women wear extensions, wigs, weaves, or whatever. That's just our culture, right? And it's not taboo anymore. But you wouldn't dare to ask a white woman or even a Latina that's like, as people know and listen to the show, I'm Puerto Rican and Black. So, but the society's, I guess, perception of someone who's Latina is someone that's fair skinned, blonde hair, like light eyes, or what have you. So again, you're not going to ask a white woman that, and you're not going to ask a Latina that, right? So why did you feel the need to ask me that as a man? I don't know you from a hole in the wall, And again, we have to, as people of color, be gracious enough and not get, show attitude. You know what I mean?
Because now you're the angry black woman or the angry black man.
Exactly.
And that's the point I was gonna make. And that's the point I was gonna make next is that I'm disturbed to see how many people felt like he needed to just sit down and shut up because he's getting paid to do what he loved. That's not the notion that you're supposed to be using.
And before you continue, just to finish that what I was saying, exactly that. I said, thank you. How can I help you? And kept it at that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it goes back to what you're saying. We have to sit back and take our medicine. And it can't be.
And it's not right either. And then it makes me even further upset when I see other people of color who are saying, oh, he's taking it too far. You are not allowed to tell a person how they feel when they feel offended. Like you can't, especially when it's something as sensitive as this, especially when you're trying to work hard to being great at what you're doing. And it's especially in an industry that's being held back to all the people of color. Look how long it took for Kofi Kingston to be champion. Look how long it took for Sasha to be recognized as the person she's supposed to be. Like it's just a trend in this business in general. And after that, you can't tell somebody how to react. That's just not right.
Especially, a person of color, I can't understand why someone doesn't see that, but that's fine. But when a person that is not a person of color, and I'm not saying no one can have their opinions. But again, going back to what you said, you can't tell someone how they should or shouldn't feel, especially when you haven't experienced what that person has experienced. You don't have to worry about, well, listen, I'm not going to get this job because what my name is, or as soon as I interview, I have to put on this type of voice. So,
Right.
to look like I'm not from the hood or whatever. You know what I mean? They don't have that experience. And I'm not trying to, like it's them against us. Sometimes there is that case,
Right.
but we're a podcast that we include everyone, and it's for everyone's ears. But as people of color, it's you have to voice your opinion in regards to that, and it just wasn't a cool move. And then on top of that, WWE went out to make a statement, not apologizing for the situation. Whether it at this point is he said, she said, because we didn't really get the full, I guess, email thread with Myles and the person that was in charge. And there was a deleted tweet on his end. And then WWE said in their comment that they worked together with the talent, which I don't believe, because a lot of talent aren't aware of the merch that they
For
get.
example,
at least the lower tier talent.
For example, just like when Pac was over at WWE and they put out that shirt of him. He didn't like the Neville shirt that he put out for him. I'm pretty sure if he didn't like it, he would never have approved it. So that's what kind of brings the question of, they approved the shirts before they go out. Because we know, like, at the end of the day, most of the time, superstars don't even have a say in their storylines. So you're going to really have a say on the merchandise that they wear? Like,
and again, it's he said, she said, but regardless of the situation, as a company that has a reputation of being insensitive to racial content, instead of, again, putting the blame on Myles and making him look delusional, like this never happened, why don't you apologize and say, listen, on behalf of the WWE, we apologize that this design went out. Going forward, we're going to create,
right.
like typically the BS statements that most that corporations do when they get in trouble for stuff like this, but and I posed the question to you, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all, because at the end of the day, this not the first instance that happened. Like Myles pointed out, Hulk Hogan is still employed by the WWE after, what was it, a 2-year hiatus, 3 years maybe, if that, and he's right back to where he started. Another example was a couple of weeks ago when Randy Orton dropped the N-word during a live stream while he was gaming. There was no statements from WWE. There was no statements from Randy Orton. All of that just flies underneath the radar, and it's a continuous thing that continues to happen. That I'm not understanding why it's being let go.
And not even that, but on the sense of even storyline purposes. Look, we've seen Vince McMahon use the N-word, right? We've seen DX and going against the Nation of Domination when they went out in blackface, and this happened in the 90s, you know what I mean? And then even more recently when Triple H and Booker T had that really racist storyline. He said everything in a promo to Booker T about dancing and entertaining. You don't belong here. All he had to say was call him the N-word. And that, you know what I mean? So it's a constant thing that unfortunately we as a community, we voice our concerns, but what do we do to help change that? Like change this narrative about, these stereotypes of us, or not keeping us in positions in corporate or just upper management. Like, what do we do?
Honestly, I don't even know how to start with that, because we've talked about this too. Because once we had this discussion, right now, Myles has a campaign going where it's a black and white picture on Twitter. Sometimes that may not be enough. Like, how do we make them hear this audience, hear this demographic? And that's the question that needs to be answered, because at the end of the day, that's when it's gonna make the change within WWE. We used our voice and got Kofi Kingston the heavyweight title after how many years? So we need to find a way to voice our voices again to get this rectified where it's not going to happen anymore, because it's too much and too often that we have to have this conversation, especially in wrestling. I forget who was it that said when they had a conversation with, I want to say, Jim Ross, when it was like, this is a white man's sport.
R-Truth said that about Bruce Pritchard
Jim
and
Ross.
Jim
And then
Ross.
recently,
Yeah.
recently somebody else said that Road Dogg, was it Road Dogg that said the same thing to them? I might be wrong with that aspect, but just to hear that is just absurd to me. Like, how can you stand there and say that to someone?
And let's not get it twisted. This is not just WWE. This is a perspective in wrestling. This is a white male dominated sport. You know what I mean? And it's a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. And it's like the saying goes, they work hard, we got to work 10 times harder. I don't know if that's how the saying actually goes, but in that case, we have to always work harder in every aspect, you know? Like,
yeah, sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating.
yeah.
A lot of these stories, like the story you said, the storyline between Booker T and Triple H, that didn't come out of nowhere. That's how it really is.
That's how this perspective backstage from higher ups. There's no reason why. I remember not too long ago I was watching older episodes of Total Divas, and I'm watching just the people that are higher and that are in charge. They look nothing like me, and they're telling people that look like me how we should look and what we should be doing. You know,
right?
It's baffling to me. It's and not taking the focus off of like racism in wrestling, but even like when I look at like women's wrestling, and we'll get into that in our other bonus episode this week. Again, how can a male tell me what to do as a woman or in a woman's storyline? Like, you don't have that experience. You can't tell me this or that and how I should be as a woman or how I should be as a person of color. You know what I mean? You see, right, time and time again, we had a president that's of color. You see that we are more than just entertainers and dancing around like and just for entertainment and athletes. I mean, granted, in this industry, it is about being an athlete, but the point is we're just as talented, maybe even more talented than a lot of people that you put in on the pedestal as the face of the company. But you don't want to have that conversation, or you don't want to look and see, you know what? We need to push that person because they have a look and they connect with the crowd. And it sucks that this is 2019 and we're still having this conversation.
And again, sadly, a lot of people still don't see why we're having this conversation, and they seem to be oblivious to the obviousness that's in front of them. You can't. Yeah. I understand if you may not understand or you may not know, but make an effort to know, so that way you can, when you speak, you know what you're talking about. So that way you don't look ridiculous out here. And that's not even just of people, like that's for all people of color, white people, whoever. Because sometimes people just are blurred by the lines and say, "Oh, everything's not about racism." Unfortunately, it is, because we have to face it every day. Every day we have to face it.
And not only that, and going to your point, is because I kind of avoided being on Twitter and like reading, like, because I've read a few comments, this and that, third, because when we talk to each other, instead of talking to and having an open dialogue and just being open-minded, we attack others like what, you don't know about this, or you're a coon, you're an Uncle Tom, this and that and the third. Like, I didn't necessarily care I don't know what the issue is with Jay Lethal, like if there's more to that story, but if we're trying to uplift the culture, don't attack
somebody else.
This is your battle. And Titus O'Neil actually said something along those lines. It's not that it's his battle; it's all of our battles. at the end of the day. But if we want to educate and get to a certain point as a community, and I'm not saying we haven't come together, because there's a lot of people that supported my Jordan Myles and are for the culture, but then other times too we can't sit there and attack each other. And also people who that aren't of color, listen. Just listen. The same way someone can't tell you about whatever it is that you guys do in your culture, you know what I mean? It's the same thing for us. If this is how we feel, it's how we feel. You know, look at it with open eyes, an open heart, an open mind, and I promise we can both get somewhere. But we can't sit there and keep attacking each other. You can't attack us for our experience and think we're not going to say anything about it.
And to that point, even if you can't see where we're coming from, visit some Twitters, visit some YouTube channels where people that know what white privilege is and know that they have white privilege, let them explain to you why they feel like they have white privilege. Get that understanding from that point of view, because maybe they can explain it better than we can, because they're on that side and they accept that they're on that side. And to your point about what Myles did towards Jay Lethal, that's where I drew the line as well. I was like, I understand that you want to bring something to awareness. Something happened to you that you were not happy about. But I did not agree with the fact that you're bringing in Jay Lethal, somebody from a totally different company. And I guess you wanted to point out that company has the same, I guess, notions as that's in the business. But again, why are we tearing each other down to do that? We don't need to tear each other down to bring a point. Just make like, it's other ways. You did your hashtag, you did your change your profile picture. Why do we need to attack one of our own? Whether they understand it or not, that's where you take that brother to the side and have a close behind door conversation and figure out where you guys can find a common middle.
Exactly. Especially if that person isn't aware and he is in a position of power, because, for example, he was, world champion in Ring of Honor, then so he can use his platform.
Right.
Maybe he's not aware. Again, I'm not trying to defend Jay Lethal or anything like that, because I don't know his situation. I know there's been allegations in regards to him that's outside of this. But if we got to come together, don't tear someone else down, pull them to the side and be like, yo, this is what it is. You're a prominent figure in a sense.
Right.
Let's come together so we can use our platform and bring attention to something that's been going on for decades. So
I don't know. I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had. Probably more on a broader platform. And I'm thinking like maybe we should do a panel of not just people of color, because I see a lot of panels, not to put them down or anything like that. I see a lot of panels with people of color discussing what's going on in the wrestling business from that aspect. Maybe we need to have this conversation out in the open with people that don't understand it, that's in the business with us. Maybe that's the next step that we need to do, so we can start bringing more awareness to this.
And just to, I don't know if I want to end this on this point. And I know Brock Lesnar is your boy, but remember in NOLA for WrestleMania when the trigger was pulled for him to retain the belt. When he went back into Gorilla, what did he do? He threw his belt at Vince McMahon because he wasn't happy with the decision, correct?
Yep.
When Titus O'Neil, I forget the why everybody was out on stage and this and that and the third, pulled Vince McMahon, and it not even an aggressive way, but kind of like a joking way, that man got suspended.
Right.
What's the word I'm looking for? A man of integrity. Titus O'Neil does
philanthropy.
Exactly. Numerous of things for the community. He's someone like
a role model for the community.
Exactly. As a black father, you know what I mean?
Right.
He does a lot for the community. That man got suspended and almost got fired because of grabbing Vince McMahon. So when you actually sit there and you listen to this, tell me white privilege isn't a real thing, or that there isn't a balance in wrestling.
unbalanced.
There's an unbalanced, I guess, stigma in wrestling.
And that was during a celebration for Daniel Bryan as he was retiring. So even then, it was in a moment where everybody was trying to keep it light, in a sense. And of course, I've heard rumors that Titus O'Neil and Vince McMahon are pretty close. But the suspension for that, it seemed extreme. But like you said, Brock Lesnar wasn't happy about the way the match ended. He tossed the prestigious title at the owner of the company with no repercussions. And he's became champions like, what, 2-3 times after that?
Even to the displeasure of many fans. Not so you got to look at it and realize there's a reason why we constantly feel the way that we do. So again, hopefully, I hope other podcasters, Black podcasters or people of color, or just people that have a voice in this community, we continue to talk about it, because if we don't continue to talk about it, our voices aren't going to be heard.
And we can't stay silent. The revolution shall be televised and now be heard, because we have podcasts. We have all these other platforms for us to voice our voices. So we have to start using it.
Yep. So I guess that's a great way to end this bonus episode.
Definitely. Stay tuned for another bonus episode this week. It's going to be a limited one where we're going to have something up for about, 2 days?
Yep. And then you'll hear the rest of it on patreon.com. So again, sign up /The Mixed Tag Show, not TMTS. And,
thank you.
And we'll, give you that later on this week. Follow us on our social, on Instagram, Twitter @The Mixed Tag Show, and on our personals @Miss Jenna Baby, BAYEE. I mean BEE @
or you can follow me at It's Simply Blue, ITSSIMPLY Blue. Also, make sure you visit our ProWrestlingTees.com /TMTS to purchase our new concrete shirt on there, or you can purchase some more merchandise over at shop.spreadshirt.com /TMTS, where you get all the cool merch. Show some support to us so we can get some more content out to you guys. And that's it. See you for the next episode.
Peace.
Tag show.